The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Chapter 1. How They Found the Wood. There was once 3 children, called Joe, Bessie and Fanny. All their lives they had lived in towns, and now their father had a new job in the country, so they all had to move as soon as ever they could. "What fun to be in the country," said Joe. "I shall learn all about animals and birds." "I shall pick flowers as many as I like," said Bessie. "And I shall have a garden of my very own," said Fanny. When the day came for the move, all the children were excited. A small van came to their door, and 2 men helped their father and mother to pile everything into the van. When it was full, the van drove away, and the children put on their coats and hats to go with their father and mother to catch the train at the station. "Now we're off," cried Joe. The country," sang Bessie. "We might see fairies there," said Fanny. The train whistled and chuffed out of the station. The children pressed their noses to the window and watched the dirty houses and the tall chimneys race by. How they hated the town! How lovely it would be to be in the clean country, with flowers growing everywhere, and the birds singing in the hedges. "We might have adventures in the country," said Joe. "There will be streams and hillsides, big fields and dark woods. Ooh, it will be lovely." "You won't have any more adventures in the country than you would in the town," said their father. "I dare say you will find it all very dull." But that's where he was quite wrong. My goodness, what adventures these children will have! They arrived at last at the tiny station where they were to get out. A sleepy-looking porter put their 2 bags on a barrow and said he would bring them along later. Off they all went down the windy country lane, chatting loudly. "I wonder what our cottage will be like," said Bessie. "And I wonder if it's got a garden," said Fanny. But long before they reached their new home, they were tired out and could not be bothered to say any more words to each other. The cottage was 5 miles from the station, and as the children's father could not afford to do anything but walk there, it seemed a very, very long way indeed. There was no bus to take them, and the tired children dragged their feet along, wishing for a cup of milk and a cosy bed. At last they got there, and dear me, it was worth all the walk, for the cottage was sweet. Roses hung on the walls, red, white and pink, and honeysuckle was all around the front door. It was lovely. The van was at the door, and the 2 men were moving all the furniture into the little house. Father helped while Mother went to light the kitchen fire to make them all a hot drink. They were all so tired they could not do anything but drink milk and eat a few biscuits and tumble into their roughly made beds. Joe looked out of the window, but he was too sleepy to see properly. In 1 minute the 2 girls in their small room were asleep, and Joe too in his even tinier room. What fun it was to wake up in the morning and see the sun shining in at the strange windows. It didn't take Joe, Bessie and Fanny long to dress. Then they were out in their little garden, running through the grass as it had grown so long, and smelling the roses that grew all around. Mother cooked eggs for them, and they ate their breakfast hungrily. "It's lovely to be in the country," said Joe, looking out at the window at the far-away hills. "We could grow vegetables in the garden," said Bessie. "There will be glorious walks for all of us," said Fanny. That day everyone helped to get the little house straight and tidy. Father was going to work the next day. Mother hoped that he would be Father was going to work the next day. Mother hoped there would be some... Mother hoped there would be someone to give her washing to do. Then she could make enough money to buy a few hens, and they would be lovely. I shall collect the eggs each morning and evening, said Fanny happily. Let's go out and see what the country around. Let's go out and see what the country round about is like. The country round about is like, said Joe. Okay. Can you spare us for an hour, Mother? Yes, run along, said Mother. So off the 3 children went, out of the tiny white front gate and into the lane. They explored all around. They ran across the fields where pink clover was full of bees. They paddled into the small brown stream, then chattered away as if it was under the willow tree. Start that again. They explored all around about. They ran across a field where pink clover was full of bees. They paddled into a small brown stream that chattered away as to itself under the willow tree in the sunshine, and then they suddenly came to the wood. It was not far from their cottage at the back, and it looked quite an ordinary wood, except that there were trees that seemed a bit darker than usual. A narrow ditch separated the wood from the overgrown lane. A wood, said Bessie in delight. We should be able to have a picnic in there. It's rather a mysterious sort of wood, said Joe thoughtfully. Don't you think so, Bessie? Well, the trees are rather thick, but they seem to be about the same as any others, said Bessie. They don't quite, said Fanny. The noise the leaves make. Listen, it sounds different. They listened, and Fanny was right. The leaves of the trees in the wood did not rustle in quite the same way as other trees nearby did. It's almost as if they were really talking to one another, said Bessie. Whispering secrets, real secrets, that we just can't understand. It's a magic wood, said Fanny. Suddenly, nobody said anything. They just stood and listened. Whoosh, 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 said the trees in the wood, and bent towards one another in a friendly way. There might be fairy folk in there, said Bessie. Shall we jump over the ditch and go in? No, said Joe. We might get lost. Let's find our way around before we go into the big wood like this. Joe, Bessie, and Fanny we might get lost. Let's find our way around before we go into the big woods like this. Joe, Bessie, Fanny, suddenly came their mother's voice from the cottage not far off. Tea time! The children felt hungry all at once. They forgot the queer wood and ran back to their new home. Mother had new bread with strawberry jam for them, and they ate a whole loaf between them. Father came in, and as they were finishing. He had been shopping for Mother in the village 3 miles away, and he was hungry and tired too. We've been exploring everywhere, Father, said Bessie, pouring him a cup of tea. We found a lovely wood, said Fanny. It's a queer sort of wood, said Joe. The trees really seem like they're talking to one another, Father. That must be the wood I've heard about this afternoon, said Father. It has a strange name, children. What's it called? Asked Joe. It's called the Enchanted Wood, said their father. People don't go there if they can help it. It's funny to hear things like this nowadays, and I don't expect there is really anything very queer about the wood. But just be careful not to go too far into it in case you get lost. The children looked in excitement at one another. The Enchanted Wood, what a lovely name! And each child secretly thought the same thought. I shall go and explore the Enchanted Wood as soon as ever I can. Their father set them to work in the overgrown garden after tea. Joe had to pull up the tough thistles, and the two girls had to weed the untidy vegetable pad. They spoke to one another in joyful voices. The Enchanted Wood. We know there was something queer about it. I guess there were fairies there, said Fanny. We'll do some more exploring as soon as we can, cried Bessie. We'll find out what those whispering trees are saying. We'll know all of their secrets of the wood before many weeks are past. And that night at bedtime, all three stood at the window, looking out into the dark, whispering wood. Behind the cottage, what would they find in the Enchanted Wood?